Hello, everyone, and welcome to Football Focus Look at Euro 2020, which is taking place in Euro 21, which still confuses me, but there you go. So we're still going to look at how we think the tables will finish and how things will go on from there. So, Steve, I'll go through the tables for you first of where I think they'll finish, and you can tell me whether you agree or not, because I've wrote them down in the way I think they'll finish. So with Group A, I've gone Italy first, Wales second, Turkey third, and Switzerland fourth.
Right. So give me the four again.
Italy,
Top.
Wales,
Third.
Turkey,
Second.
and Switzerland
Fourth.
fourth. Do you not think Wales? You don't fancy Wales at all? No.
No, Turkish are quite useful, mate. To be fair, and I think the Swiss are good enough to beat Wales as well, mate. I think Wales and Switzerland will fight out third place between them, and that could be quite close.
So
They just rely on Gareth Bale, don't they? It's just a Gareth Bale show.
And the problem is if Gareth Bale doesn't turn up and he doesn't feel bothered and he'd rather go and play golf, then Wales unfortunately won't do anything. Because you don't know what type of mindset he's going to be in after the season he's just had at Spurs. He's a very sensitive footballer, Gareth Bale. So we look at Group B now. So I've gone for Belgium top, Russia second, Denmark third, and Finland fourth.
Yeah, I'd agree. Can't disagree with that.
Do you agree with that one, yeah?
Absolutely.
Group C, Holland top, Ukraine second, Austria third, and North Macedonia fourth.
Difficult to say on that one because big shout out to Dom because Austria have got decent players, Sabitzer, Alaba, but to name a few, but they just don't seem to win games of football or too many of them in a row. Technically, absolutely. Results-wise, probably not. Your winner of your group, I agree, is spot on, and I can't call who's going to be second.
It's going to be a close one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Group D. Croatia first, England second, Scotland third, and the Czech Republic fourth.
Top two, right?
So you
Top
think
two, right? So
you reckon Scotland will be bottom and Czech will be third?
That's on a knife edge, that one, mate.
That one's really close, isn't it? Like I've said many times before on the show, I'm not really a fan of international football. But due to us doing what we do now, I thought we'll go out and I'll have a look. And I've bought the official magazine and everything. I've look, and it looks like quite a tasty tournament, you see. So I'm actually quite invested in it right now. It looks like there'll be some good games there.
Yeah.
So Group
Absolutely.
E, Spain top, Sweden second, Poland third, Slovakia fourth.
Spain top, Poland second. And then Slovakia and whoever, doesn't really matter. I think Poland will finish second.
I reckon Poland definitely will finish above Sweden. The power of Lewandowski, eh?
Yeah.
And finally, this is the tournament group of death, this one. Germany top, France second, Portugal third, and Hungary fourth.
France top, Portugal second, Germany third, Hungary fourth. Germany
not fancy Germany, no.
Portugal, they'll go through as a third place. Portugal are my dark favourites, mate, the dark horses for the tournament. I actually think, as all will be revealed, they'll go deep into the tournament.
Do you think so, yeah?
Yeah. Look at
Right,
the players they've got. Look at the players they've got. Vita Bayer in goal. They've got what's his name? No, what's the goalkeeper's name?
Rui Patricio.
That's it. Patricio in goal. Cancelo, Diaz. Then in midfield they've got Bernardo Silva. They've got Goncalves up top. They've got Ronaldo. They've got Jota. They will go. They're a strong side, mate. They've got Renato Sanchez. They're going to be a decent side, mate.
Think they could win it then? You think dark horses to win it?
Well, you'll find out. I'm not going to give it away now. It's only 5 minutes in, mate. So we'll get on with this, and I'll tell you where they're going to end up.
Right. So, because of the way I'd worked out my tables, it then worked out to a way of what teams were going to play in the knockouts. So obviously, mine would be different to yours. But
That's all right.
Let's see if you agree with mine. So, the first game of the knockouts would be Belgium versus Italy. And I've gone with, Belgium. I've written the wrong team down. Bear with me a second. That was good, wasn't it? Belgium versus Portugal. Your dark horses. So,
Portugal win that.
See, I've gone with Belgium.
Portugal win that.
And then the next game would be Italy versus Ukraine.
Italy win that.
See, so then the next round would be, if I did it, it was Belgium v Italy. If it was you, it would be Portugal versus Italy.
Portugal win that.
So then we'll go to the bottom half of that one, the bottom half of that section.
Yep.
The first game is Germany versus Denmark.
Germany.
And then it'd be England versus Sweden.
England.
Then Germany versus England.
Hang on. To win against Sweden, we're going to need Jack Grealish to dive. All right, with a penalty, just to get that.
I actually watched the England game tonight.
Yeah. If Salah does that, Twitter blows up. If Salah dives like that, Twitter blows up.
Salah, Twitter breaks, doesn't it, if Salah does that? So Germany versus England, Steve?
Germany.
So then you would have, in your semi-final, Portugal versus Germany.
And Portugal win that.
I've got Belgium versus Germany, and I've got Germany win that. I reckon Germany would win that. So on to the other side now. So the first game is Spain versus Scotland.
Spain.
Croatia versus France.
France.
So then we've got Holland versus Poland.
Holland.
And then we've got Wales versus Russia.
Russia.
See, I've gone with Wales there.
Yeah, but you're just a home countries boy, aren't you? You know what I mean? Where's the England?
It's just anyone who doesn't like England, I want them to do well. So the next one is Spain versus France.
France.
And Wales versus Holland.
Holland.
And then the semi-final would be France versus Holland.
France.
And then France versus Portugal in the final.
France will beat Portugal in the final, for me.
So you think France win the whole thing? I think France will win the whole thing, but man, there's a few different results in there. So we might as well talk about it a little bit now. So
I'll tell you what, let's go through the big hitters. Let's talk about the big hitters in the groups and talk about their squads and why we think will happen, what will happen.
I think being the good Englishmen we are first, I think we better discuss England, haven't we? Because I'm sure we're going to get a few people who want to know how we think England will do. So how do you think England will do, Steve? Do we seem to be going into this competition with very little expectation compared to what we normally go into, to be fair?
I think the semi-final of a World Cup, I think it was, wasn't it, last time, will give people hope. But I think you also have to be realistic and say, in the last tournament, they played two good sides and they lost to both of them. So I don't know whether England have got enough about them to do that. The midfield looks a bit light to me. the defence is okay. Question marks over Harry Maguire's fitness, obviously. Obviously, England know a bit more than's been released in the press. Otherwise, he wouldn't be involved. I think the press will build them up, and they'll fall at the quarters or something like that. Personally speaking, mate, I just don't think they've got enough about them. They're great up top, but if you're going to play Sterling, who's been out of form, scored 1 goal in 17 games, you're playing that team on previous performances alone, not current form. Sterling should be nowhere near that side on current form. So I would play up the top 3. For me, would be Kane, would be Foden on the left, and would be probably Sancho on the right. I think that's where the form is. For me, Marcus Rashford has scored goals this season. He's also had games where he's not really featured, and he's been carrying a couple of little niggles. And I think I can't make my mind up about him. Is he better through the middle? I've seen him do that, and he can't do it properly because he makes the wrong runs. Is he better out wide? Possibly, but the Manchester United fans are frustrated with him out wide. So it's a bit on the left. It's a difficult one for him. I just seen him going out in one of the first 2 knockout games, mate.
Do you think we'll go back 3 or back 4, England?
4, because he's not brought enough centre backs to do the 3. And I think whilst you can play Kyle Walker there or Reece James there, would you actually want to do that? Not sure. I don't know whether they've got the. Reece James certainly has not tried that role in international football. Walker has, and it worked. And that would be Trippier at right wing back for me, with Trent being injured. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a really, really difficult one. See, international football isn't what everybody makes it out to be. International football isn't the holy grail of football anymore. 25 years ago, when you entered international football, it was a step up. You were playing against teams that international football meant everything to. With the introduction of all these European things and the Champions League being what it is, all the money and all the kudos is in the club game. So I think as a result of that, going to play international football at international level doesn't test the player. Are we suggesting the likes of Trent will have more difficult games in the Euros than he would in the Premier League? I beg to differ.
What do you think England's midfield will look like, and what do you think it should look like?
Controversially, Jordan Henderson should be on the next flight home. He clearly isn't fit, mate. I love him to bits, but it'd be counterproductive to play a player in a tournament that clearly isn't fit. He isn't fit. So it would be what's his name? Declan Rice would sit. Evening Ryan. And then in front of him, you have Jude Bellingham and one other, which would probably be Mason Mount. It's really hard to leave Jack Grealish out of the England team for me, mate. Really hard, but that decision's got to be taken, hasn't it? Whether he gets in or not, I'm not sure he does.
Could he not play out wide? Could he not play instead of Foden, or are you absolutely 100% saying that Foden should be in there?
Oh yeah,
Foden should be in there.
Foden's different gravy, mate. In 15 years' time, we'll be talking about Phil Foden alongside. Who do you think it is? Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard, or Foden? He's got that much of a career in front of him, and he should be playing in these games. He just does things differently to the other lads. And whilst Mason Mount has had a really, really good season and is a quality player, he's not as good as Phil Foden.
So we'll move on to some of the other big hitters now. So one I'm interested in is Belgium. Belgium seems to be a team that look very, very good, but just not be able to hit that final step. How do you think? What do you think when you think of Belgium? Do you think they could win it this summer? We know what you think will win it, but do you think they've got a chance of winning this thing?
They're a side that have got individually really skillful players. Kevin De Bruyne, for instance, Eden Hazard, but Eden Hazard's playing well, but has he played well any time in the last 2 years? I'm not sure. You look at the back four, Alderweireld is probably past his best. Vertonghen certainly is. Jason Denier, who plays at Olympic Lyon, couldn't get into Manchester City side. You've got Meunier, the right back, who was at PSG. I don't know where he is now. And then you look at it and you move into midfield, and they've got the usual suspects. I think biggest Achilles heel for them is Roberto Martinez. How a guy that gets a job like that, having he mugged off City, didn't need to win a FA Cup with Wigan, but as a club manager, he's never been someone who knows how to get something over the line. So it would be more down to the players, but they're dangerous. Romelu Lukaku's had a blinding season, right? His confidence has grown. He's a great, willing channel runner with the ball. He scores an awful lot of goals. It's who they're partnering with. You know, if Dries Mertens is still playing, can't rule out Dries Mertens, mate. Dries Mertens is a quality player. And they've got Yannick Carrasco on the left. So you can't say no to Belgium. There's just an ingredient missing from Belgium. Once they get over the line, they'll win quite a few tournaments, because there's clearly a lot of technical players in Belgium. And all it needs now is for the first kind of trophy to be won. And then Belgian football will grow as a result of that. But I struggle with the manager. I struggle with his CV and his perceived lack of credibility, and I don't see him making a difference.
So I want to let you wax lyrical now about Portugal. You spoke about them a bit when we were discussing the tournaments and the games. So go on then. Let's hear you wax lyrical about Portugal.
They're just superb, mate. They'll be them and France are head and shoulders above everybody else for me at the moment. Jota, Ronaldo, Adrien Silva, who plays in the German league, who is everybody's target as a centre forward at the moment. Ruben Diaz, Cancelo, the goalkeeper from Rui Patricio. Got a great squad, mate. Got a brilliant squad. They've done it before, haven't they? They've won one before, so they know how to do it. It's Ronaldo's swan song. I mean, let's be honest, he's not going to be playing in 2 years' time. Doesn't need to be playing in 2 years' time. He's still got enough in his locker to cause problems. They're a breath of fresh air. I just like the way they play football. I like what they do. And all these young players coming through, they're going to be around for a while. It's a formidable. They're better now as a team than when they won it. They're better now as a team than when the guy scored what was his name? Eder or something like that, scored the golden goal, or the extra time winner. They're a better side now than they were then. So for me, dark horses. The problem with France is they're in a very difficult group, and as you said the other day, you only need one bad result and you struggle to get out of that group.
And one of the other big hitters I want to discuss is Holland, or Netherlands as people call them. How much will not having Van Dijk hurt in this tournament?
Oh, massively. We've seen how much it hurts. Van Dijk is, excuse me, the catalyst for everything good that Liverpool did when we took him up. Saw the effect that had, not by itself in isolation, but it started the sort of the concerns and the lack of confidence that we saw. Are they sharp enough up front? Is Memphis Depay going to win you a tournament? I'm not convinced he is. Obviously, Ronaldo plays a bit further forward. PSG bound Ronaldo and gets goals. They're a good side. They've got some good players. Their problem is themselves. They always have a fallout, don't they? A spectacular in-house row, and someone gets sent home for a misdemeanor of sorts. And in Ronald de Boer, Crystal Palace fans won't be looking at him thinking he can win them a Euros, will he? So lots of technical players. Loss of Van Dijk is huge, and I'm not convinced Depay can win him a tournament.
So we've already mentioned them before, so we'll mention them again. And this is one who can. They're always tournament favourites going into them, but you've pretty much dismissed them offhand when we were talking about the group stages. So I want to discuss Germany. What do you think is going on there? Why do you think they're not as threat as usual? As big a threat as usual, sorry.
I think that they peaked some years ago. That trouncing of Brazil in the World Cup was Germany's moment. Look at the back four. They're not massively mobile. They rely a lot on Joshua Kimmich to tidy up in midfield. who he plays with. Leon Goretzka, maybe another quality player. Who did it go with that wide? Will it be Serge Gnabry? Will it be Leroy Sané? The names are fantastic. And as it's Joachim Löw's last tournament, you always wonder about, has he got it in him to lift the team for that? He knows he's leaving at the end of the tournament. Would have been better to announce that at the end rather than prior to the tournament. And they've had some indifferent results. I don't think they're a match for France. I don't think they're a match for Portugal. England would push them all away. Thomas Muller seems to have been around forever and achieved everything. Again, another one who isn't the player that he was. Something's not right with Germany at the moment. So maybe the change with Hansi Flick coming in is the right thing. You can be an international manager for so long, can't you? Like Lowe has. And it'd be interesting to see what type of a club job he gets, because does international football give you kudos? I don't know. Where would Gareth Southgate end up if he left England?
So, going to talk about the ones that we both think will win the tournament, and then I've got 3 questions for you before we finish. So, first of all, let's discuss France. How good are they? Are they head and shoulders above the other teams in the tournament, do you think, or are they just? Is it just them and Portugal who are head and shoulders above the other teams?
Portugal would have to play out on their skin, and France not be 100% at it to turn France over. That they are that good. Look at their front line. Kylian Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann, Ousmane Dembele, and then sitting behind them. I know we like to mock him, but in international football and playing for France is where Paul Pogba excels. And I've said this many times on Liverpool pods. I've guessed it on Manchester United pods, and I've said it many, many times. That guy has every single attribute to be the best footballer in the world, except what goes on between his ears in terms of the mentality and the intensity. But he seems to come alive for France. Don't get me wrong; they would have won the World Cup if he hadn't played last time anyway. They don't need him to win the World Cup; it just helps to have him there. They've got class everywhere. Kingsley Coman's had a great season at Bayern again. He's absolutely jet-heeled, that boy is, isn't he? And then this is a team that can afford to put up no fight to let Aymeric Laporte go and play for Spain. Clearly not worried about losing a player of that quality.
No. So the first thing, the 3 questions I'm going to ask you. So the first one is, Steve, who will be your player? Who do you think will be player of the tournament? Who do you predict will be the best player of the tournament?
Difficult to say. I forgot to mention Fernandes plays for Portugal as well, doesn't he? Yeah. The usual suspects. It's looking like De Bruyne doesn't play the first game because of the facial injury, because he had a broken orbital, which is a pretty serious injury. He'll play the tournament with a mask on, and I don't know how that impacts players. So it's different when you're a defender and when you're playing in the midfield. If France play well and Mbappe gets goals, the media will see to it that he gets the recognition for it. Harry Kane could be the player of the tournament if England surprise a few and get to the final. Fernandes is another good player, but tends to go missing in big games. So your usual suspects likely to be De Bruyne or Mbappe for me, depending on how deep into the tournament they go. And in the Portuguese side, Fernandes is certainly someone who, give a free kick or anything like that away, you're in trouble, aren't you, really, because he's very good with dead balls. So much as it pains me to say it, because I'm really not keen on the guy. He's a talented footballer, and in Portugal shirt, mate, he may well do enough to be in the running.
Who do you think will win the Golden Boot for Euro 2020?
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. Do you think England will get far enough for him to win the Golden Boot?
I think the 4 or 5 goals gets you the Golden Boot.
Is that low? Is that low, yeah?
It's not high, but goals are spread around so much. Formations have changed. And Gary Lineker got it for England in the '86 World Cup and so on and so forth. And all those guys, Toto Schillaci and people like that, they were focal point number 9s. They were guys who were in the box to put the book, get on the end of and finish up movement, passing and set pieces and stuff. football's changed now. Got goals coming from everywhere. Most of the teams line up with 3 people up front. So Harry Kane's been dropping deep. So it takes penalties. Where we get penalties, if Jack Grealish is playing, there's a decent chance we'll get penalties. Because he's going to be fouled a lot because he draws fouls. Very clever footballer. I'd like to see him play in the tournament, to be fair. Maybe, I don't know if he'll play every game, start every game, but I don't know how you leave him out. Yeah, I can see Kane getting it. I don't think Poland will go far enough for Lewandowski to do it. And then you look at the rest of the Spanish, you've got Morata up front, and is he going to be the guy that gets you all those goals? I'm not convinced. Germany, no, I don't see it coming, mate. Don't see where it comes from. Kane is, outside of Lewandowski, arguably the best number 9 in the world for me, in terms of what a number 9 does. And he'll go further in the tournament than Poland. So I would expect Kane to be the top scorer.
And finally, who do you think will get manager of the tournament? Who?
Deschamps, Didier Deschamps, mate.
After France have won it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all. I think we've discussed the Euros as much as we can there, Steve. I've enjoyed that. If you like what you've seen, drop us a subscribe. Pop on over to our Twitter, which is at Football Focused. We're discussing all Euros throughout the competition. And next season, we'll be getting very heavy into every Premier League team and not just Liverpool. Anything you want to say, Steve, before we leave?
No, because of what we do, because we've got the channel, because we make a presence of ourselves online. I haven't watched England for years, but I guess I'm going to have to, because we've also got Football's Hardline, which is loaded and ready to go, mate. Trust me, that'll be a very direct, very, very direct pod. No punches pulled. Roy Keane looked like a kindergarten dinner party after that, mate, because this season we're going to watch a lot of football and we're going to stop making excuses for people and we're going to tell it how it is. So I'm looking forward to doing that, to be fair. So, Southgate, we're watching you.
And you know what, Steve? I think that's the perfect place to finish. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.